I am Muslim and I have many Palestinian friends from Gaza. It never comes from the people. It's resistance by the people. And it's very complicated for you to stop this resistance, even if you try. I mean, it's always going to be like this.
Yes, yes, yes. What you're saying, I agree. I agree. Jihadism is not fought with tanks. It's an ideology. You can't kill ideologies with weapons. Ideologies are fought with ideologies. I have several videos on the subject. I have a question. Do you consider that the acts of Hamas on October 7th can be classified as resistance? In
Partly, in a way, yes, because it is a counterattack. Because we have to keep in mind that Palestinians and Israelis have never been at peace. I mean, October 7th is just one point among many in the conflict. It's not that the war started on October 7th. There was already war long before October 7th. The Israeli people were already provoking with certain actions, entering Al-Aqsa, the Al-Aqsa mosque with, with Jewish groups. I'm not sure if you've heard of the preparation of the red heifers. And all these things are already provocations. And the last straw was certain things that were already being prepared. So October 7th isn't when a war started. It was already happening.
You say part of it is resistance. So which part isn't?
Well, because I've seen videos and there are things that have been done. And the spokesperson for Hamas said that, there are individuals within the group who have done things they shouldn't have, for example, shooting at civilians. Because there are cases where, well, shots have been fired. It could be because it's a war. So in this, we don't agree. But between soldiers, it's a war. For example,
That they went and raped women, and that they kidnapped babies and elderly women, and that they cut off women's breasts and played frisbee with them, and that they stabbed them in their private parts and things like that. I don't know.
that's what I've been researching. And I've never found any evidence. I'm telling you, it's all.
Look at Netanyahu's speech at the UN. He has something like a pin, like a QR code. Go in and you'll be surprised. In any case, for me, raping women is not resistance. Going to loot kibbutzim is not resistance. Going to kidnap babies is not resistance. And going to commit all these atrocities because Jews go to the holiest place for Jews is not resistance. I don't know who told you that Al-Aqsa is foreign to the Jews. Al-Aqsa was built on top of a platform that has historically been Jewish. The Jewish temple of Solomon, of King Shlomo, was there. And they built a dome of the rock on top and Al-Aqsa in front. And that's why I don't think it's justified, for Jews to go visit there. And there's an agreement with the Wasi about which areas Jews can go to. That is, it's much more organized. The fact that they've been indoctrinated, and that's why they feel the need to go violate Israeli girls and kidnap babies. To me, it just doesn't make sense. If you want, tell me when you think this war actually started, because you say it didn't start on October 7th. When do you think it really began?
The war started when the Jewish resistance was formed and the Jewish state was declared in 48. That's when the war began. Isaac.
So the problem, according to what you're saying, is that we Jews have a country, right?
I don't see that you over there in that place, you don't have a country. That's an Arab country that the Al. When the British colonization ended, those people had the right to claim their country, just like Iraq, Syria, all those countries. From the Middle East, just like Algeria, Morocco, all these countries had the opportunity to become independent, raise a flag, and call themselves Morocco. The same in that country, those Arabs also had the right to become independent, raise a flag, and call it Palestine. What happened is that they didn't have that opportunity. That's what I was going to ask you. They weren't given that opportunity.
You say that the population that was later called Palestinians, because they weren't called Palestinians in 48, but later in 64 they were called Palestinians. That population, you say, didn't have the opportunity to create their own country.
They didn't have the opportunity to create their own country because they put a barrier there. They didn't have the opportunity because a Zionist Israeli state was established, as you call it.
I want to give you a very brief historical overview. On November 29, 1947, at the UN, a vote was held called Resolution 181. In that resolution, it was stated that what remained of the British mandate would be used to create a Jewish state and an Arab state. The Israelis accepted the resolution.
You skipped the history, Isaac. You skipped the story.
Okay, we can go further back. Tell me, how far back do you want to go?
The Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire.
Okay. The Ottoman Empire. Were they Arabs?
If yes, they were Arabs. Jews, they were Turks.
The Ottomans were Turks.
Turks, but the civilians from that place.
The civilians from that place. I mean, you say there's no problem, that the Turks occupied them.
They were Palestinian Arabs, correct. We agree.
The regime that occupied them was Turkish. You say there was no problem if the Turks occupied them? No, that's not it.
That's between us. It was a Muslim caliphate. And that's where the problem is.
That's what I'm getting at. The problem is the existence of a Jewish country. The problem isn't that they have a Palestinian country. The problem is the existence of a Jewish country. That has always been the problem. They could never have their country in Gaza, and they don't have it. What bothers them is the existence of Israel. That's the gap here.
How many Jews were there? How many Jews were there during the Ottoman Empire? Before the arrival of British colonization? How many Jews were there?
For example, most of the Jews in Jerusalem, most of the population of Jerusalem were Jews. Statistically, according to Ottoman data at the point of the British mandate, during that transition, there were 600,000 Jews.
Before the arrival of British colonization? I'm talking about before. How many Jews lived among Arab Muslims in that area?
No, I honestly don't remember. How many?
Very few. Very few.
And how many Arabs lived there?
With 500,000 Jews. And they lived there under the Ottoman mandate, and they never claimed a Jewish country. They lived under a Muslim state among Muslim Arabs.
But they had been trying to create a Jewish country for a long time.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yes, of course. Joseph was born in the 15th century and started creating a Jewish country in Tiberias, 15th century. Then there's Yudal Kalai, Moshe Hez. We're talking about rabbis. Shmuel Mohaliber, we're talking before Herzl. And then Herzl starts with the political idea. European political Zionism.
That place was chosen. And that's why I'm telling you, they haven't been given the opportunity to form their own complete country without intervention from the Jews.
If you allow me to give the historical account, the UN holds a vote in 1947 to establish a Jewish country and an Arab country. The Jews accept, and the Arabs reject it. All the Arabs reject the partition plan, and that's why they end up without a country. Then before that, actually in 1937 at the Peel Commission, the Arabs also reject creating an Arab country. At San Remo, the Arabs reject it. Then once the state of Israel is established, the first thing Ben Gurion does is offer to create the Arab country. They reject it. In 1967, Levi Eshkol offers them the chance to create that Arab country. They reject that Arab country. Then, at Camp David, in the year 2000, in 1994, how do you say it? Yitzhak Rabin offers them the Arab agreements. And then they destroy the Oslo roadmap. In the year 2000, Ehud Barak offers them the chance to create a country, and they refuse. You know that Ehud Barak offered them 97% of the territory, and they rejected it. In 2008, Ehud Olmert offers them 97% of the territory and Jerusalem, and they reject the offer. Because the problem is always later. Then Donald Trump in 2020, he offers them to make the Palestinian state the deal of the century, and they reject it. Never. Israel in 2005 gave them the Gaza Strip so they could create a Singapore of the Middle East, and they created nothing. What matters is not that they have an Arab country. What matters is that we, Israel, have a Jewish country. That's what really bothers them. Even if the Jewish country was just 1 square meter, they wouldn't accept it.
That's the big issue. If from the beginning another country had been chosen, like Argentina or a country in Africa, why?
Why did you specifically choose the Palestinian one? Look, do you see that wall behind me, Khaled? I can take any book from there, whichever you want. And almost any page will talk about the land of Israel. I assure you. Almost any book I pick. No, sorry. Any book I pick will talk about this land. It won't talk to me about Argentina. It won't talk to me about Uganda. It will talk to me about Israel. According to the Quran, you who are Muslim, the Quran says that this land was decreed for Banu Israel. Each one to Banu Israel, each one to... Because if the Quran itself tells us that this is the land of the Jews, why do I have to go to Argentina? Well, we have been here before Palestinians were even a concept. Palestinians can't even pronounce the letter P because it's a Roman imposition. We were here before. Why can't we have self-determination? But we have to give in to those who violate our girls.
Do you think that right now I can say I own the Iberian Peninsula and that I expelled the Spaniards because my ancestors lived there for 8 centuries, or that the Greeks
Do you know what the difference is?
will expel all the people from Turkey because Constantinople was ours? This doesn't justify anything. I mean, you were already expelled. Generation after generation came to that land, and here you come. What? I don't even know if you're really Jewish, because we know that a lot of people from all over Europe have been gathered there to establish a Zionist country, when we know perfectly well that the descendants of those people...
Blue eyes. Are you Arab?
I am Arab, yes. I am Amazi.
Where are Arabs from? Or natively? Do you know the origin of Arabs?
Yemen.
From the Arabian Peninsula? Yes, near Yemen, like more to the north of Yemen. But on the peninsula, the Hijaz, that's what it's called. What? How can you say that that Arabs are the natives, are the people, let's say indigenous, let's call them natives, of the Hijaz, of the Arabian Peninsula? Why would they claim the Arabian Peninsula as theirs? It's that the Arabs who arrived in the Arabian Peninsula came because they invaded and conquered it. Then the Spanish took it back during the Reconquista. That is, you can't claim something that you invaded. I mean, unlike the Jews, where Jews are born, the creation of the Jew is in the land of Israel. The word, in fact, Jew, comes from Judea. Our name comes from the land.
That's the past, Jacob. That's history.
That's why I have a historical right to be here. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about a historical phenomenon that all our literature has aspired to for 2,000 years.
The Italians also lived in North Africa because of the Roman Empire. Do they have the right? Can Italians now claim that Libya and Tunisia and all that area is theirs? They lived there for many years. No.
The Italians invaded North Africa, and the Romans, yes, they invaded those areas. But originally, they are from Rome. Their origin is Rome. They can't have a claim to a place they invaded. We Jews didn't invade. How can a Jew invade Judea? Jews are from Judea. Judea.
It's our land because, what's it called? The prophet and Isaac, right? Who is the father of Israel. When he arrived in Canaan, there were already inhabitants in that place.
Isaac was born in Canaan.
I mean, no, he wasn't born in Canaan. Isaac was born in Canaan.
Perhaps you mean Abraham. Ibrahim. He was born in Ur. He really comes from outside.
But he was born in Canaan. What inhabitants are you talking about there? What were they called? Invaders, of course.
Invaders. The Canaanites. If you want, now you're not talking about history, but about the Bible. The Canaanites were descendants of Ham, in Hebrew of Ham. Were from Africa. The Hamites at a certain point invaded the area of the Semites. And that's how it is, because that's how the Canaanites got here. That means the Canaanites were not the locals. They were not the locals here. That's according to the biblical narrative, right? Abraham, on the other hand, is a descendant of Terah and so on. And he comes from Eber. Eber is the word Eber. Hebrews comes from Eber. Eber was from this land. Abraham is returning to his great-grandfather's land.
So, What I want to tell you is that if every human being had to claim a place that belonged to their ancestors, it would be a disaster. But we can leave this point because it's very complicated to go back through all of history. I have a question.
Aka. But do you know what the big difference is? That a Jew can actually trace their origin to here. Well, if you, let's say you can trace that you should be in Morocco, and there's no problem if you live in Morocco. That's not a problem. Go to Morocco.
Happily, for example, tell the Moroccans who speak Arabic, go back to Saudi Arabia because you are invaders. No.
But the Moroccans, but most of them are locals from North Africa.
Yes, but how can you know that this person was also their father? And more importantly, it's a mix between Hebrew and that's a very good question. And
That's why what you're showing me is that the Arabs invaded the world. Because how is it possible that in North Africa today they speak Arabic? Because they invaded the world. They conquered the world. And Israel.
un cierto. But it's not always about invading because you think that soldiers, when they arrive at a certain place, it's not that the soldiers brought the whole nation, but that they automatically converted to Islam. Many made the mistake of calling themselves Arabs, but they weren't Arabs. For example, the Amazi converted to Islam, right? They're not Arabs.
Correct. Correct. But how did it happen? Do you know how we know?
So those who lived in Palestine might have been Jews who converted to Islam. And now you're killing your brothers who used to be Jews. You can't know for sure.
No, I don't think so for several reasons, which I can explain. But let me give you an analogy about expansion. How many countries worldwide speak Arabic? Many, dozens. How many and why? Because the Arabs expanded, dominated, and united a global caliphate, conquering many places. How many countries speak Spanish? Dozens. Because the Spanish crown reached many places, they established their kingdom and government and colonized. And that's why many places speak. The same with English. How many places in the world speak Hebrew? The only one. I mean, if you take archaeology, take a shovel and dig. It's the language we spoke here today. And there are no other countries that's why? Because we are not colonialists. We are not expansionists. In fact, we are the opposite. We are the native people who managed to decolonize our land. We are the proof that a people, even after being in exile for 2,000 years, returned to our land that was colonized by the Ottomans, then by the British. We drove them out. And now we have decolonized our land. The Arabs came to this land in the 7th century, colonized it. And that's why people speak Arabic today. That's the difference. The Palestinians, as they are called today, were given 11 opportunities to create a country. Now, at this moment on the table, Donald Trump forced Netanyahu to give them a chance to stop the war, imagine the point where Hamas is being begged to agree to a ceasefire. That's right. That's how far we've come. Will they reject it or not? It's the same situation as before. They didn't do it in 2005, so why not? I mean, I don't know how anyone can say they were never given a chance when Israel reached out to them time and time again. This war did start on October 7th. If Israel gave them Gaza for peace, why isn't there peace? Because this war on October 7th began with the Hamas invasion. Do you think
that what is currently being done, Israel is justifiable considering? Look, I suppose I'm going to assume that it's not resistance and that they use civilians as human shields. Okay? Do you agree that a thief enters a bank, attacks, and starts to carry out the strategy? Has civilian hostages there and says nobody move and takes them hostage. And then the state comes in and bombs the entire bank, killing 2 thieves, the thieves and about 80 civilians.